Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're diving into the world of Rust programming.
Rust.
Yeah, it's been making waves, for its speed and reliability and all that.
It's got quite a reputation.
It does. It does. I bet some of you out there have even thought about maybe, trying to learn it yourself.
Yeah, I can see why.
But it's known for being a little bit, well, tough to pick up.
Yeah, that learning curve can be a bit intimidating.
It can. It can. And that's where things get really interesting today. We're looking at this new AI tool called RustCoder.
RustCoder.
Okay.
Right.
And it's supposed to make learning Rust, well, easier and faster.
That's pretty cool, especially since we're seeing Rust being used in bigger and bigger projects these days.
Exactly. And we've got some real-world examples to show you how it's being used in a coding camp to help people learn.
Real-world examples, that's always helpful. I think a lot of people are curious about how these AI tools actually work in practice, not just, in theory. It's one thing to say an AI can help you code, but it's another to actually see it in action.
It is. It is. So before we get into those examples, maybe we can take a step back. What's fascinating to me is that Rust is not just for, like, niche projects anymore.
Right.
Like, we're talking Linux kernel. The U.S. government's adopting it for security reasons, and even Elon Musk's XAI is using it for all their AI infrastructure.
Yeah, it's becoming a real cornerstone, like a foundational technology for some pretty major projects.
Exactly.
I think that's why we're seeing so much interest in it. People recognize that Rust is becoming, well, kind of essential.
It is, but for a lot of people, like we said, that learning curve, it's a real obstacle.
Yeah, for sure.
So what exactly is RustCoder, and how's it changing the game?
Well, think of RustCoder as like an AI-powered assistant, right?
Okay.
And it lives right inside your coding environment,
Okay.
like a helpful pair programmer. Like imagine someone sitting next to you,
Right.
helping you out, It's
Yeah.
built on this thing called the Qwen-2.5 Coder model,
Okay.
and it can offer you suggestions, it catches errors,
Oh, nice.
and even helps you generate code faster.
So for someone who's never even heard of an IDE or a coding environment before, what does that actually look like using RustCoder?
Sure. So an IDE, it stands for Integrated Development Environment.
Right.
It's basically just a software application where programmers write and test their code.
Okay.
It's like all the tools you need in one place. You got your editor where you write the code, you got your debugger to find and fix errors. And often even tools to manage your project files. It's like a one-stop shop.
Right.
And RustCoder, the cool thing is it integrates directly into these IDEs.
Oh, okay.
So it's right there in your workflow, offering assistance as you code.
So it's not just a separate thing. It's right there in the environment.
Exactly. It's almost like having, an intelligent autocomplete, but one that really understands Rust.
Right.
And can anticipate what you're trying to do.
Right. And it's not like pulling suggestions out of thin air. Right?
No, definitely not. Where is it getting this information?
So RustCoder is built on this platform. It's called Gaia.
Okay.
And Gaia gives it access to this massive library of Rust resources. We're talking Rust by Example, the official Rust programming language book, collections of algorithms and data structures, all the good stuff.
So it's got like some serious resources to draw on?
Oh, yeah. So it's not just surface level help. It's drawing on like a deep well of knowledge.
Right, to give you like the best suggestions and guidance.
Exactly.
Exactly. So that's the like technical side of it.
Right.
But we mentioned a coding camp where RustCoder was like actually put to the test.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that? Yeah. So the Open Atom Foundation and Tsinghua University, pretty big names, by the way.
Yeah.
They organized this coding camp.
Okay.
For over 1,000 students and young professionals who are learning Rust.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
It is. And it wasn't just a casual learning experience. This was a coding challenge.
Ooh, okay.
With real competition. They were focusing on speed and accuracy.
So these folks were under pressure to perform.
Oh yeah, big time.
Did RustCoder actually make a difference in how they tackle the challenges?
That's what's so interesting. Even experienced coders struggled with some of the problems.
Really?
But RustCoder helped them find solutions faster.
Okay.
And with fewer errors.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. In fact, we actually have links to 5 YouTube videos in the show notes.
Oh, awesome.
That actually show RustCoder in action during the competition.
I'll definitely be checking those out.
You can see firsthand how it helped people tackle different coding problems.
So wait, if these coders were already experienced,
Yeah.
does that mean RustCoder is only useful for people who already know what they're doing?
No, 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 not at all.
Okay.
It's actually beneficial for both beginners and experienced coders.
Okay.
Imagine, like, you're a beginner and you're struggling to understand some complex concept, right?
Right.
Like ownership and borrowing in Rust.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
It's a tough one. It's unique to the language, but it's essential.
Right.
RustCoder can actually offer explanations in simple terms,
Okay.
Can suggest code examples and just help you grasp the concept faster.
So it's kind of like a tutor almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And for experienced developers, it can help them, explore new ideas,
Okay.
validate different approaches, and even just like speed up their development process.
So it's like having a personalized tutor that adapts to your skill level.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That's pretty cool. But I have to ask, are there any limitations? It can't solve everything, can it?
You're right. RustCoder is a powerful tool, but it's not magic.
Right.
A good example is the semifinals of the coding camp.
Yeah.
The challenges there were they were designed to be extra tough.
Okay.
And even RustCoder hit its limits. It couldn't single-handedly solve those problems.
Right.
But it still provided valuable insights.
Okay.
That helped the coders think outside the box and come up with solutions.
So it's more of a collaboration then, like a tool that enhances human capabilities rather than replacing them.
Exactly. That's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
We're seeing this future where AI and human ingenuity are working together
Right.
to achieve things that were previously difficult or even impossible.
And this is where I think things get really interesting. For anyone who's been thinking about dipping their toes into this world of Rust programming, because guess what? The Open Source Operating System Camp is launching the first ever AI-assisted Rust training camp.
Wow.
In January 2025.
That's awesome.
And they'll be using RustCoder to guide participants through the learning process.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's like real-world application of this tool. The camp will be structured in 4 stages, starting with the basics.
Okay.
And building up to more advanced Rust skills.
That makes sense.
And here's the best part. RustCoder will be embedded right on the camp website.
Oh, wow.
So instant assistance to anyone participating.
So you have expert guidance and an AI assistant.
Exactly.
All in one place.
All at your fingertips throughout the entire learning process. It sounds like a pretty amazing opportunity to dive into Rust.
It does.
But what about our listener who might not be able to attend a coding camp? Can anyone use RustCoder?
Absolutely. RustCoder is open to everyone, and there are several ways to access it. You can use the direct chat link. You can integrate it with code editors like Cursor and Zed,
right?
Both of which are AI-powered editors that offer a really slick coding experience.
Right. They're not just your basic text editor.
Exactly. Or you can even use their API if you want to get more customized.
Right.
They've even made their API compatible with OpenAI's format.
Oh, wow.
So if you're familiar with that, you'll feel right at home.
Okay, so lots of options for how to get started. We'll be sure to include all those links in the show notes.
Sounds good.
But before we jump into part 2 of this deep dive,
I
want to connect this back to you, the listener. Why should you care about all of this?
Right. So this isn't just about a new programming language or a fancy AI tool. This is about how technology is evolving and how it's changing the way we learn and interact with the world.
It's a big deal.
It is. Rust is a powerful language that's becoming increasingly important. And everything from critical infrastructure to cutting-edge technology like AI and tools like RustCoder they're making it easier for anyone to learn this language and be a part of this technological revolution.
That's a great point. We're not just talking about abstract concepts here.
No.
This is about skills that can open up new possibilities and career paths.
Sure.
And RustCoder is lowering the barrier to entry.
Yeah, exactly.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a quick break. When we come back in part 2, we'll delve even deeper into the specific ways RustCoder can help you learn and master Rust. And we'll explore some of the exciting implications of this technology for the future of learning.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Rust programming. Before the break, we were talking about how RustCoder is making this powerful language more accessible.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see how this tool is bridging the gap between, a complex language and the people who want to learn it.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me in the research was how Rust handles memory management.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Rust's unique approach to memory safety. It's one of the things that makes the language so reliable.
Right.
But it can be a little tricky for newcomers, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like traditional languages, they often use garbage collection, which automatically cleans up unused memory.
Right, right.
But this can sometimes like slow things down.
Yeah,
Rust takes a different approach.
it does.
It uses this system of ownership and borrowing to ensure memory safety without sacrificing performance.
It's kind of like, think of it like a library,
Right.
right? Where each piece of data has a designated owner.
Right.
You can lend or borrow that data to other parts of your code.
Right.
But Rust has these strict rules to prevent common errors like data races or dangling pointers.
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see why that could be confusing for someone who's, new to programming.
Yeah.
But how does RustCoder actually help people understand and work with these concepts?
So imagine you're writing code, right? And you try to access data in a way that violates those ownership rules.
Okay.
RustCoder, it can actually flag that error immediately, even before you compile your code.
That's helpful.
It is, and then it can explain the issue like in simple terms. It'll point you to the relevant section in the documentation,
Right.
and even suggest alternative ways to write your code that adhere to those ownership rules.
So it's like having a real-time code reviewer who's like an expert in Rust's memory management system.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And this goes beyond just memory management.
Right.
RustCoder can help with all aspects of Rust programming.
Okay.
Whether you're struggling with syntax, or trying to understand a complex concept, or just need a little nudge in the right direction.
Right.
It's there to provide guidance and support.
Okay, so we talked about the coding camp where RustCoder was used,
Right.
but those were like specific challenges,
Yeah.
right? Designed for the competition.
Yeah,
Can you give some examples of how RustCoder could help with more everyday coding tasks?
absolutely. Yeah. Let's say you're building a web application with Rust,
Okay.
and you need to interact with the database.
Okay, right.
You might not remember the exact syntax for connecting to the database or like the specific functions you need to use.
Right.
RustCoder can provide these code snippets tailored to your specific task,
Oh, okay.
helping you write the code faster and with less effort.
That's super practical.
It is.
It's like having a library of code examples at your fingertips.
Yeah,
But it goes even further than that, right?
it does.
It's not just about copy pasting code.
No.
It's about understanding why certain code works the way it does.
Absolutely, yeah. RustCoder can explain the logic behind the code it suggests. It can break down complex functions into simpler steps, helping you understand the underlying principles
Right.
and empowering you to write your own code more effectively.
So it's almost like having a mentor,
Yeah.
who can patiently walk you through the thought process behind each line of code.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That's really cool.
And this personalized learning experience, it's further enhanced by RustCoder's integration with those AI-powered code editors like Cursor and Zed.
We mentioned those briefly earlier, but I think it's worth digging a little deeper.
Yeah, for sure.
For our listener who might not be familiar with these tools, what makes them different?
So traditional code editors, they're mainly focused on text editing.
Right.
They help you write code, highlight syntax, maybe offer some basic auto-completion.
Right.
But AI-powered editors like Cursor and Zed, they take things to a whole new level.
In what way?
They have AI built right into their core.
Okay.
This means they can understand your code at a much deeper level. They can anticipate what you're trying to do, offer more intelligent suggestions,
Right.
and even generate entire code blocks based on your instructions.
So it's like the difference between a basic spell checker and a sophisticated Grammarly tool
Exactly. Yeah.
that can analyze your writing style and offer nuanced suggestions for improvement.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. And when you combine these AI-powered editors with RustCoder,
Yeah.
you get this truly immersive and personalized learning experience.
Okay.
Imagine you're working on this particularly challenging piece of code. You're stuck on a specific problem. You're not sure how to proceed.
Right.
With RustCoder integrated into your editor, you can simply ask for help, in plain English.
Oh, wow.
You could say something like, hey, RustCoder, I'm trying to implement this algorithm, but I'm getting this error. Can you help me figure out what's wrong?
And what happens then? Does RustCoder just spit out a solution and say, here you go?
No. It's much more interactive than that. RustCoder can analyze your code, identify the problem, and then offer like a step-by-step explanation of how to fix it.
Oh, okay.
It might even suggest, different approaches you could try, along with like the pros and cons of each approach.
Wow. So it's not just about getting the right answer.
Right.
It's about like understanding the problem-solving process
Exactly.
and learning how to like think like a Rust programmer.
That's exactly it. That's where the real power of this technology lies. It's not about replacing human programmers.
Right.
It's about empowering them.
Yeah.
To learn faster, code more efficiently, and ultimately, like, build better software.
Okay. This is all like incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
But I want to switch gears for a moment and talk about something that's been kind of on my mind throughout this deep dive.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the technical aspects of RustCoder.
Right.
But I think there's a bigger picture here that we need to address.
I agree. We've touched on it a little bit.
Yep.
But it's worth exploring further. What do you have in mind?
Well, we're talking about an AI tool that can help people learn this, like complex programming language.
Right.
And it's not just theoretical. We have like concrete examples of how it's already being used in a real-world setting.
Yeah.
This raises some like really interesting questions about the future of learning and education.
Absolutely. If we can use AI to make learning a challenging language like Rust more accessible, more engaging,
Yeah.
what other possibilities does this open up? Could we use similar tools to teach, like other complex subjects, like advanced mathematics, physics, or even music composition?
That's what I find so fascinating. It's almost like we're on the cusp of like a paradigm shift in how we approach learning. Imagine a world where anyone, regardless of their background or prior experience, can access these personalized AI tutors that can guide them through any subject they're interested in.
It's a powerful vision. And while there are, certainly challenges and ethical considerations we have to address, the potential benefits, they're enormous. We could democratize access to knowledge, empower lifelong learning, and unlock human potential in ways we haven't even imagined yet.
That's an inspiring thought. And it really makes this deep dive feel like more than just like an exploration of a cool new tool.
Yeah.
We're talking about a potential revolution in education.
I agree.
But before we get too carried away, let's bring it back down to earth for a moment.
Sounds good. Where do you want to go from here?
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in terms of like how RustCoder works and the broader implications for learning.
Right.
But there's one more crucial aspect we need to address before wrapping up this episode.
Okay.
And that's the accessibility and the availability of RustCoder for our listeners.
Yeah, good point.
So when we come back in part 3, we'll walk through all the different ways you can access and start using RustCoder today.
Okay.
And we'll explore some additional resources that can help you on your Rust learning journey.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've spent this deep dive exploring Rust and this AI tool, RustCoder. We've covered a lot. We talked about its features, how it's being used, and, its potential to kind of shake things up in the world of education. But now let's get down to brass tacks.
Yeah, let's get practical.
How can you, the listener, actually get your hands on RustCoder and start using it?
Well, the good news is RustCoder is really accessible. There are a few different ways to get started. It just kind of depends on how you like to work, and your preferences.
Okay, let's break those down one by one. What's the simplest way to start using RustCoder?
Easiest way, probably through their direct chat interface. It's like a messaging app.
Okay.
Where you can just chat directly with the AI, you can ask it questions, you can request code snippets, get help with specific problems.
So it's like having an on-demand Rust tutor right there in your chat window.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. What if you prefer like a more integrated experience?
Then you'll want to check out RustCoder's integrations with those code editors we talked about earlier, like Cursor and Zed.
Right.
Remember those AI-powered editors?
Yeah, they're not just your basic text editors.
They're not. They're designed to provide like a much smarter, more intuitive coding experience.
Right. They have that AI built in.
Right. So they can understand your code, offer suggestions, even generate entire code blocks.
Right.
And when you combine those editors with RustCoder, you get this seamless workflow. You can access all of RustCoder's features right there, right inside your coding environment.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So imagine you're writing a function and you can't remember the exact syntax, you can just ask RustCoder right there in your editor.
Okay.
Like, hey, what's the syntax for creating a new vector in Rust? And it'll just give you the answer instantly, right in your code.
That's super convenient.
It is.
So direct chat for, like, quick questions.
Yeah.
And the integrated editors for a more immersive experience.
Right.
Is there a third option for people who like to get a little more hands-on?
There is. RustCoder also has an API, which stands for Application Programming Interface.
Right.
And this allows you to interact with RustCoder programmatically.
Okay.
So you can send requests to the API, you get back responses, and you can integrate that into your own applications or workflows.
No, I know that might sound a little technical for some listeners.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway here is that RustCoder is flexible.
Very flexible.
Yeah. Whether you prefer, a simple chat interface, a tightly integrated editor, or a more customizable API, there's a way for you to use it.
And they've even made their API compatible with OpenAI's format, which is a really widely used standard.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with that, you'll feel right at home.
Okay. So we've covered the ways to access RustCoder.
Right.
But learning a new programming language, it's a journey.
It is.
Are there any other resources you'd recommend for someone who's just starting out with Rust?
Oh, absolutely. One of the best is the official The Rust Programming Language book.
Yep.
It's a really comprehensive guide, covers everything from the basics to more advanced concepts.
And the great thing is that RustCoder actually integrates with this book.
It does, yeah.
So if you're reading a section and you're like a little confused, you can ask RustCoder for clarification or examples,
Yeah.
It's like having a personal tutor walking you through the book.
That's a great way to put it.
It's awesome.
Another excellent resource is Rust by Example.
Okay.
It's a website. It's got a bunch of code examples that demonstrate various features and concepts in Rust.
Right.
It's a great way to see how Rust works in practice and to get that hands-on experience.
And again, you can use RustCoder to get help with specific examples or modify them to fit your own needs.
Exactly, yeah. And the Rust community itself is it's incredibly active and supportive.
Oh, that's good.
There are tons of online forums, chat rooms, communities where you can connect with other Rust enthusiasts, ask questions, share knowledge.
It's really inspiring to see how technology and community are coming together.
Yeah.
To make learning more accessible and engaging.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
I
want to leave you, the listener, with a few key takeaways.
Okay.
First, Rust is powerful. And it's becoming more and more important.
It is.
It's a programming language that's well worth learning.
I agree.
Second, RustCoder is an innovative AI tool that can make the learning process easier, faster, and more enjoyable.
For sure.
And third, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned programmer, there are resources and communities out there to support you on your Rust journey.
Absolutely.
So don't be intimidated by Rust's reputation.
Yeah, don't be scared.
With the right tools and support, anyone can master this incredible language.
That's right.
So we encourage you to check out RustCoder, explore the resources we mentioned, and join that vibrant Rust community.
Yeah, jump in.
Who knows? You might just discover your next favorite programming language.
And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one building the next groundbreaking application that changes the world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Rust and RustCoder. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.